Chapter 1. Corpse-Bearer Soldier, Growing Stronger by Collecting Attributes. The year is 230 BC, on the border between the states of Qin and Han. The entire frontier had become a field strewn with corpses. Broken swords, arrows embedded in the earth, and shattered chariots were scattered everywhere among the thousands of bodies that lay lifeless on the ground. Blood had dyed the earth red. The scene of ruin and devastation was exceptionally gory. Zhao Feng, lad, why are you putting so much effort into carrying a corpse? A soldier in a Qin army uniform asked another soldier who was diligently hauling a body. You're acting as if you found a treasure. If you enjoy it that much, you can have this whole area to yourself. As his words fell, the surrounding soldiers burst into laughter. Centurion, you shouldn't tease him, one of them said with a grin. The kid is a natural at carrying corpses. He can haul them as fast as 10 men combined. On a battlefield, while the Qin sharp soldiers were responsible for conquest and slaughter, another group was tasked with cleaning up. The soldiers who cleared the corpses, known as scavenger soldiers, were part of the logistics unit. Each wore a black cloth over their face, seemingly to block out the stench. Their only duty on the battlefield was to clear the bodies and bury them to prevent the outbreak of disease. Following their gazes, one could see a young man, his face covered by a black cloth, energetically carrying a corpse. He would hoist one up, quickly place it onto a cart, and then immediately run off to grab another. He paid no mind to the others' teasing. You all know nothing. I'm picking up a fortune and getting stronger at the same time. Zhao Feng thought, secretly overjoyed. Every time he touched a corpse, he would randomly obtain various attributes. Just as Zhao Feng touched the body of another Han soldier, a prompt appeared before his eyes. Touched the corpse of a common Han soldier. Successfully picked up 1 point of strength. He then quickly hoisted the body, placing it on the ox-drawn cart with ease. Once a cart was full, it would be hauled away for burial. Keep it up. I've already picked up more than 40 points of strength today. If each point represented a pound of force, that means I've gained over 40 pounds of strength in just half a day. This feels great. With every point of strength he acquired, Zhao Feng could clearly feel himself getting stronger. The sensation was incredibly satisfying. Successfully picked up 1 point of speed. Successfully picked up 1 point of lifespan. Successfully picked up 1 point of constitution. Zhao Feng continued his work, and soon, an ox cart was piled high with bodies, all of them fallen Han soldiers. As for the corpses of the Qin sharp soldiers, they could not be treated so dismissively. They had to be arranged neatly and buried individually. Such was the difference between how the enemy and one's own were treated. Having carried corpses on this border for 2 days, Zhao Feng was already familiar with the routine. After filling the cart, he called out to his superior, Centurion, I'm off to transport the corpses. Go on, Wei Quan said, waving a hand with a hint of concern. You really are quick, lad. Don't push yourself so hard. We're quite safe here, so rest if you're tired. There's no rush. Understood, Zhao Feng replied with a smile. He then led the ox cart toward the burial site. Along the way, he opened his attribute panel. Host, Zhao Feng age, 15 strength, 256. The higher the value, the greater the explosive power. Speed, 188. The higher the value, the faster the movement. Constitution, 167. The stronger the constitution, the faster injury recovery, and the greater the stamina. Spirit, 166. The stronger the spirit, the clearer the mind and thoughts. At a certain level, it allows one to sense nature's spiritual energy. Lifespan, 86 years and 32 days portable space. 1 cubic meter obviously, the extra 32 days were what he had picked up over the last few days. Initially, all his attributes were around 100, the average for a normal person. But in just 3 short days, they had skyrocketed thanks to his work with the corpses. I've only been a scavenger soldier for 3 days, and my lifespan has already increased by 32 days. That alone is exciting. This is a great post. No need to charge into battle, just clean up the aftermath. I've really come to the right place. If I keep carrying corpses and picking up attributes, could I achieve immortality? And what would happen if my attributes all surpassed 1,000? Zhao Feng was filled with anticipation for the future. The scavenger soldiers were the most despised unit among the warriors who yearned for glory and meritorious service. As a citizen of the Qin territory who had turned 14, Zhao Feng could not defy the government's conscription order. Defiance was equivalent to imprisonment. Even worse, he could be demoted to hard labor and sent to the northern frontier to build the Great Wall, a fate that would also implicate his family. To avoid prison and spare his mother and sister, he had no choice. For months ago, Zhao Feng had arrived at Lantian camp. After a month of recruit training, he was assigned to the logistics Junho camp, where his duty was to clear the battlefields as a scavenger soldier. Carrying corpses? His first thought was that it was an unlucky, grim job. Initially, Zhao Feng despised the assignment. But when he realized it meant he wouldn't have to face the front lines and could keep his head down, he came to love the idea. As someone reborn from a future era, Zhao Feng deeply understood the brutality of this age. This was the beginning of Qin's campaign to annihilate the Six States. In the war to conquer Shenzhou, countless people would die on the battlefield, and even more would perish from the ensuing chaos. Zhao Feng had no great desire for promotion or nobility. He only planned to serve his 2 years in the army and then return home to care for his mother and sister. He could never forget the worried looks in their eyes when he was conscripted. If he died on the battlefield, how could they bear it? So, to survive and stay off the front lines, Zhao Feng deliberately avoided showing off or displaying too much combat prowess, which led to his assignment to the logistics camp. However, the moment he touched his first corpse and unlocked the attribute panel, he suddenly realized what a golden opportunity it was. Being a scavenger soldier not only allowed him to stay alive, but it also let him pick up attributes and grow stronger. It was the perfect role for him. Feeling his strength grow and experiencing the transformation of his body from the increasing attributes, Zhao Feng knew that this power was his and his alone. Returning to the present, Zhao Feng pulled the ox cart for about the time it takes an incense stick to burn before arriving at a massive burial site. At least 1,000 logistics soldiers were there, all digging pits. This time, the Qin army of 100,000 had advanced on the state of Han. The border battle had been exceptionally fierce, and the casualties inflicted on Han's frontier army were immense. Zhao Feng had already been clearing the area for 3 days, but judging by the state of the battlefield, it would take until nightfall to bury all the bodies. "Hey Zhao Feng, it's you again. This is your 4th cart today. Impressive." The soldiers digging the pits laughed as they saw Zhao Feng arrive with another cart piled high with Han corpses. "Keep up the great work, brothers. This cart's all yours," Zhao Feng said with a smile. "I can't afford to waste any time." With that, he grabbed an empty cart from the side and headed back toward the battlefield. Chapter 2. All attributes surpass 200. Another treasure box. I've never seen a soldier so diligent about carrying corpses. Many of the soldiers digging pits remarked with emotion as they watched Zhao Feng's retreating figure. Zhao Feng was, indeed, highly motivated for the grand task of carrying corpses. He returned to the battlefield. Those comrades from the army marquee camp naturally couldn't help but tease Zhao Feng, saying he was cut out to be a corpse-carrying soldier. Zhao Feng just smiled without saying a word. "You all don't know that I grow stronger by carrying corpses. You can laugh, but I'll remain silent." Although he hadn't joined the Qin army in attacking cities, being in the logistics camp was still dangerous. There could be enemy soldiers playing dead or even a surprise attack, any of which could be fatal. Now that he had this excellent opportunity to become stronger, Zhao Feng was determined to seize it. It was just like the saying in the military camps of later generations: the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. With this mindset, Zhao Feng worked to enhance all his attributes. This was the capital he needed for his survival. He hadn't thought about promotions or titles. His only goal was to survive his 2 years of service and return home. Even as a reincarnator who knew history, what good would it do? He wasn't a prince or a noble, nor was he from some great clan. What grand aspirations could he possibly have? And even though the Qin system of military merit was said to be fair, you still had to risk your life to earn anything. Touched Han Junho, gained 5 strength, 5 speed, 5 constitution, 5 spirit, and 5 lifespan. First time collecting from the rank of Junho, which carries national destiny. Received 1 first-order treasure chest. A prompt appeared on the panel. Seeing this, Zhao Feng's face lit up with joy. I didn't expect that I could get stronger attributes from an officer's rank and even a treasure box reward. Is this considered a jackpot? Open the treasure box, Zhao Feng ordered impatiently. Opened first-order treasure chest. Obtained 1. Inner armor of protection. The panel displayed. A life-saving divine artifact. I'll put it on as soon as I get back. Zhao Feng thought excitedly. This haul of attributes from the Han Junho, along with the treasure box, motivated Zhao Feng even more. His eyes scanned the area, searching for the bodies of Han officers. He hoped to find a few more surrendered Han soldiers who had become officers. Their attributes were worth several ordinary soldiers combined. While carrying a corpse to the ox cart, Zhao Feng kept scanning his surroundings. Just then, the commander of Zhao Feng's company was also moving bodies with a few men. As they approached a pile of corpses and prepared to move them, a pair of eyes suddenly snapped open within the heap. Seeing the Qin soldiers drawing closer, the man's hand quietly tightened around the hilt of his sword. As the few Qin soldiers drew near, the Han soldier in the pile leaped up and thrust his sword forward. With a single thrust, the sword pierced an unarmored logistics soldier, who let out an agonized scream. The Han soldier kicked him away, pulling his bloody sword free. He then turned towards several other unprepared logistics soldiers and charged at them fiercely. This sudden turn of events shocked the surrounding soldiers who were clearing the battlefield. But the leading commander immediately snapped back to his senses, drew his sword, and shouted, "Enemy, draw your swords and kill." The logistics soldiers around him quickly rallied and drew their swords, fire in their eyes. Though they were logistics soldiers, they too were eligible for promotion by killing the enemy. Collecting the dead wasn't as perilous as frontline combat, but they could still encounter enemies feigning death. Although dangerous, such a situation was also an excellent opportunity to earn military merit. "Kill him," the commander roared. About a dozen Qin soldiers immediately rushed toward the Han soldier. Not far away, Zhao Feng also witnessed this scene. Playing dead in one spot for 3 days and dodging 3 sweeps, this Han soldier is incredibly patient. After a great battle, armored sharp warriors would first clear the battlefield. To put it plainly, they delivered a finishing blow to every enemy soldier to ensure they were truly dead. After that, the logistics soldiers would perform 2 more sweeps. For this Han soldier to have survived until now was truly a rare occurrence. Watching a dozen of his pals surround the man, eager to land the killing blow and claim the military merit, Zhao Feng slowly approached. He didn't intend to join the scramble for credit, as the Han soldier's death seemed a certainty. However, Zhao Feng and all the other Qin soldiers had underestimated the man's ferocity. He glanced around, his gaze immediately locking onto the commander, Wei Quan, who was directing from the rear. He burst forward violently. With one slash, he killed the Qin soldier before him, kicked out, and charged straight for the commander. Clearly, this was no ordinary Han soldier. He knew to kill the officer first. Wei Quan, remaining calm, raised his sword to meet the charge. But just as their blades clashed, the Han soldier reacted with astonishing speed. He parried with a jolt and lashed out with a kick. Wei Quan cried out in pain as the blow sent him falling backward onto the ground. The Han soldier's eyes gleamed with bloodlust. Gripping his sword with both hands, he raised it high and plunged it down toward Wei Quan. The surrounding soldiers rushed forward, but they were too late. "This is bad. Those moves are definitely not from an ordinary Han soldier." Zhao Feng realized something was terribly wrong. If he didn't act now, the commander who had looked out for him would surely die. He glanced at the sword in his hand, took a thrower's stance, and hurled it with all his might at the Han soldier. Whoosh! The sharp blade cut through the air, flying straight for its target. Just as the Han soldier was about to strike Wei Quan down, squelch! The Han soldier's body shuddered. Pain and struggle filled his eyes. He looked down at his chest in disbelief, where a blood-stained sword now protruded from his body. The sword in his hand slowly fell, and finally, he tottered and collapsed. In front of him, Wei Quan had been saved from the brink of death. Killed Han Wanjiang, gained 20 strength, 20 speed, 20 constitution, 20 spirit, and 20 lifespan. All attributes have surpassed 200. Received 1 first-order treasure chest. A notification appeared on the panel. Seeing this, Zhao Feng was astonished. No wonder this guy was so fierce. He was a Han Wanjiang. And I don't just get attributes by touching corpses, I can also get them by killing enemies. Awesome. All my attributes are over 200 now. At that moment, Wei Quan recovered from his near-death experience. He got to his feet and knelt to examine the enemy who had nearly taken his life. Fumbling at the man's waist, he pulled out a military tag. "Commander, are you alright?" This Han soldier was too fierce. "He killed 2 of our brothers," a logistics soldier said indignantly, unable to resist kicking the Han officer on the ground. "He's no ordinary Han soldier," Wei Quan said, his eyes wide with shock as he looked at the tag in his hand. Then, looking at the gathered soldiers, he asked loudly, "Who threw that sword?" Chapter 3. A logistics soldier killed a Han general. Hearing Wei Quan's shout, the soldiers around all turned, looking toward Zhao Feng, who was about 100 feet away. Witnessing this scene, Wei Quan immediately understood and burst into laughter. "Zhao Feng, you little rascal, that was a nice throw. I was almost sent to see King Yen by that dog. It's good that you're alive, senior captain. I'll get back to carrying the bodies," Zhao Feng replied with a chuckle. He was still immersed in the excitement of all his attributes breaking the 200 mark. He had also received a treasure box reward and planned to open it in secret. "Mr. Zhao," Wei Quan shouted, annoyed. "Stand right there. Do you know who you just killed?" "Senior captain, wasn't it just a particularly fierce Han soldier? Who else could it be?" The surrounding soldiers looked at Wei Quan with surprise. The Han soldier lying on the ground was only wearing ordinary battle armor and had no distinguishing features. Zhao Feng stopped and looked at Wei Quan. From the panel's recent notification, I already know this was a Wanjiang of the Han army. But seeing Wei Quan's reaction, could this Wanjiang have some incredible identity? Wei Quan raised the military token in his hand, laughing loudly. This man is Bao Qiu, the son of Han's senior general, Bao Yuan. He originally commanded tens of thousands to guard the Han border. Our Qin army broke through but never captured him. I never thought he'd be playing dead in a pile of corpses. Zhao Feng, you've made a great contribution, he continued. You've killed a general, and not just any general, but the son of Han's senior general, Bao Yuan. Then, Wei Quan tossed the military token to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng caught it and looked. It bore the name Bao Qiu, written in Han characters. On the battlefield, the military token was the sole means of identification. After hearing Wei Quan's words, Zhao Feng remained calm, while the soldiers around him were stunned. My heavens, the Han border commander was killed by Zhao Feng just like that? This is a tremendous feat. This military achievement will let Zhao Feng rise 3 ranks, won't it? Killing a general. He won't just be promoted, he'll be ennobled, right? The surrounding soldiers all cast envious looks toward Zhao Feng. Who wouldn't want such a great merit? In the Qin army, soldiers who went into battle were known as sharp warriors. Simply by joining a battle, they would receive a first-rank title of nobility. However, logistics soldiers were not entitled to nobility and received only half the annual salary of a sharp warrior. This was a clear case of you reap what you sow. Sharp warriors risked their lives on the battlefield, while logistics soldiers faced far less danger. Aren't you the least bit happy about this, you rascal? Wei Quan asked, approaching the composed Zhao Feng with a look of bewilderment. Senior Captain, Zhao Feng said with a smile, handing the military token back to Wei Quan. It was purely an instinct to save you. I wasn't thinking about anything else. You should rest well after your close brush with death. I'll go back to carrying bodies. He then turned around and went back to his work. I might as well use this time to carry a few more bodies and collect more attributes. As for the rewards for killing a general, Zhao Feng truly wasn't as enthusiastic about them as he was about collecting attributes. You rascal, Wei Quan said with a helpless smile as he watched Zhao Feng leave. However, his eyes filled with gratitude. If it weren't for Zhao Feng's sword throw just now, he really would be meeting King Yen. How could Wei Quan not be grateful for having his life saved? A few men, over here. Wei Quan commanded loudly. Lift up Bao Qiu's body. We're reporting this to the Junho. Yes, sir. Several soldiers immediately complied, lifting Bao Qiu's body. Wei Quan then led them to report to their superior Junho. There might be more survivors. Search carefully. Maybe we can make a major contribution too. Watching Wei Quan leave, the soldiers of the company grew eager and began searching among the corpses, hoping to stumble upon another great merit like Bao Qiu. However, Zhao Feng, the one who had actually killed the general, was simply carrying corpses while checking his attributes. Host, Zhao Feng age, 15 years old strength, 316. The stronger you are, the greater the force you can unleash. Speed, 206. The higher the number, the faster you are. Constitution, 208. The stronger your constitution, the faster your injury recovery, and the more inexhaustible your stamina. Spirit, 201. The stronger your spirit, the clearer your mind and thoughts. When it reaches a certain level, you can sense nature's spiritual energy. Lifespan, 86 years and 68 days. Portable space, 2 cubic meters. A single punch from me now has over 300 pounds of force. I could kill a man with one hit. My speed is at 206, twice that of a normal person. This constitution must manifest in kidney function, right? If it reaches 1,000, would I have the legendary golden kidneys? And spirit, it says I can sense nature's spiritual energy faster. In my past life, I read tons of novels where cultivation required spiritual energy. Does this mean I'll be able to cultivate in the future? The corpse-carrying soldier, what a great job. Looking at his current attributes, Zhao Feng was utterly delighted. This was all the motivation he needed to keep carrying corpses. At the senior general's main camp for the current campaign to annihilate Han, King Yingzheng of Qin had issued an imperial edict ordering the Lantian camp to march. The main general, Li Teng, led an army of 100,000 to attack, while senior general Wang Jian was personally overseeing the war from the Qin-Han border. Father, Wang Ben, one of Lantian camp's leading generals, reported excitedly in front of a map of Han. The war is progressing rapidly. General Li Teng has already reached Yang City. Within 3 months, Han will be no more. Han has a small territory and an army of merely 100,000. Do you know why the great king had the entire Lantian camp mobilize? Wang Jian asked with a smile. The great king's brilliance and strategy have long been aimed at unifying the world, Wang Bin replied immediately. To annihilate Han requires only the strength of one of our Lantian's main divisions, but to defend against Zhao and Wei requires the full strength of the Lantian camp. It is good that you see this point, Wang Jian said gravely. Qin could have easily wiped out Han years ago. We waited until today for the right moment to strike unexpectedly. Just then, a voice called out from outside. Report. A trusted aide rushed into the tent. Reporting to the senior general, the logistics army has just sent good news. Speak, Wang Jian gestured. The logistics army found Bao Qiu. The aide reported respectfully. The body is just outside. 4 days, we've finally found him, Wang Jian said, standing up immediately. Let's go take a look. Wang Bin followed closely behind him. Outside the tent, Bao Qiu's body was laid out, a blood-stained sword still embedded in his chest. He only just died? Upon seeing the body, Wang Jian immediately noticed that the bloodstains were not yet dry, clearly not from someone who had been dead for days. Senior General, this is a Junho from the logistics army, an aide said, gesturing to the man who had delivered the body. It was his army marquee camp that discovered Bao Qiu. Who killed Bao Qiu? Wang Jian asked the Junho. Reporting to the senior general, the Junho replied at once. It was a logistics soldier from my army marquee camp. Chapter 4. I have no ambition for promotion. Survival matters most. The Qin army's military merit system was incredibly strict. Aside from mutual oversight among the military personnel, there were officials specifically assigned to supervise military achievements. Anyone daring to falsely claim or seize military merits would be reported directly to the King of Qin for severe and unforgivable punishment. When the system was first implemented, perhaps some of the nobility dared to take such a huge risk, but now, no one did. Bao Qiu was killed by a soldier from your logistics army? Wang Bin asked in surprise. Reporting to General Wang. It's true, the Junho immediately replied. Bao Qiu had taken off his battle armor and was feigning death among the corpses. When our logistics soldier approached, he suddenly burst up and killed 2 men. Fortunately, this soldier from our logistics camp reacted quickly and killed him. Bao Qiu, to die at the hands of a Qin logistics soldier. You truly met a wretched end, Wang Bin sighed, looking at Bao Qiu's wide-open eyes, which were filled with unresolved grievances. A logistics soldier, not a combat role, but one that dealt with sundry tasks like cleaning up the battlefield and tending to the wounded. For a Han general to die at the hands of a logistics soldier was indeed a disgrace. Wang Jian glanced at Bao Qiu without much concern. Take him away. Bury him with the Han soldiers, he ordered. As for the logistics soldier who killed Bao Qiu, promote him according to the military merit system. A promotion of 3 military ranks and an advancement of 1 nobility rank. After speaking, he turned and walked back to the camp. For him, a Shangjiangjin, this was merely a trivial matter. It was simply a case of bad luck for Bao Qiu and a stroke of great luck for the logistics soldier who had killed him. Understood. The Junho immediately accepted the order and left. Have the battle reports and losses been tallied? Wang Jian asked. The count has been finalized and will be urgently dispatched to Xianyang today, Wang Bin replied. Include the detail about Bao Qiu being killed by one of our army's logistics soldiers in the report. It will make for an amusing anecdote, Wang Jian said with a smile. Wang Bin nodded immediately. Understood. Oh right. Where's that girl Yenner? Wang Jian suddenly asked. Wang Bin hesitated, unsure of what to say. Wang Jian frowned and sharply commanded, Speak. She went to Yang City with General Li Tong, Wang Bin said helplessly. Why didn't you watch her? Wang Jian asked, slightly angered. Father, don't you know what kind of temperament Yenner has? Wang Bin retorted, somewhat reproachfully. You shouldn't have agreed to let her accompany the army in the first place. Hearing this, Wang Jian glared, feeling rather helpless himself. You think I wanted to bring her? Ever since she heard we were deploying, she's been pestering me endlessly. Don't worry, Father, Wang Bin said with a smile. She's protected by your 500 trusted aides, and General Li Tong is also looking after her. She'll be safe. Enough, Wang Jian stated, somewhat resentfully. Let her have her fun. After this campaign, I'll marry her off and let her new family manage her. Wang Bin just laughed. Do you have the heart to do that, Father? Besides, with Yenner's temperament, who in all of Xianyang doesn't know about it? Who could possibly catch her eye? Late at night, all the corpses on the border battlefield had been cleared away, and the thousands of soldiers from the logistics army had returned to camp to rest. Outside the tents, it was pitch black. By a small bonfire, Wei Quan and Zhao Feng sat, a piece of meat roasting over the flames. Mr. Zhao, Wei Quan spoke up. What is it? Zhao Feng replied. Aren't you anxious at all? Wei Quan asked. Anxious about what? Zhao Feng was puzzled. You killed that Bao Qiu today and achieved a great merit. This is an accomplishment that can get you promoted 3 ranks and even grant you a noble title, Wei Quan said, surprised. Why are you so calm? I don't have a strong desire for promotions, Zhao Feng said honestly. Hearing this, Wei Quan's expression was one of great surprise in the darkness of the night. Do you not know that with a promotion, your annual salary increases? And with a title, you can receive land. I know, Zhao Feng replied with a laugh. But what's so great about a promotion? I'm going home after 2 years of service anyway. I have a mother and a younger sister at home, and they're both waiting for me to take care of them. I can't afford to die on the battlefield. You really are different, Wei Quan remarked with a sigh. It's not that I'm different. I just fear death and cherish my life. No rank is better than just being alive. Lieutenant, how long have you been in the army? Zhao Feng asked. In the army, Zhao Feng had a policy of not offending anyone, always greeting people with a genuine smile. There wasn't much need for beating around the bush in the military, and Wei Quan was the only real friend he had made. I was conscripted at 15, so it's been about 8 years now, I suppose, Wei Quan said slowly. If I could, I would want to stay on forever. That way, I could earn a large enough annual salary to support my family. It's not an easy world to live in these days. If it weren't for my salary, my family would have starved to death long ago. Zhao Feng did not reply. In this era, there wasn't enough food to go around, let alone enough for everyone to eat their fill. People starving to death was a common sight, especially in winter when countless people froze or starved. It was an unsolvable problem. When Zhao Feng was in his hometown, his family owned just over an acre of land, which was enough for the 3 of them. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had a good constitution. He could hunt in the mountains and often return with a substantial bounty. He was also skilled in various hunting traps from a later age, which helped him gather even more. By bartering with the villagers, his life was carefree, as long as he didn't crave luxury. Mr. Zhao, Wei Quan spoke up again. Go ahead, Lieutenant, Zhao Feng replied. Don't keep calling me Lieutenant. I'm nearly a decade older than you. Just call me Mr. Wei, Wei Quan said with a smile. Mr. Wei, Zhao Feng called out immediately with a chuckle. There you go, Wei Quan answered, quite content. He then moved closer to sit by Zhao Feng. In return for that, Mr. Wei, and for saving my life, I'm going to teach you a few things, Wei Quan said, his face suddenly serious. Do you want to listen? Go ahead, Mr. Wei. I'm all ears, Zhao Feng immediately nodded. I saw it today, that sword strike of yours, Wei Quan said, looking as if he'd seen right through Zhao Feng. Killing Bao Qiu accurately with a single strike from 10 paces away, you've got some serious skill, lad. With your abilities, you're stronger than those actual sharp warriors. During new recruit training, you were holding back, weren't you? Otherwise, how would you have ended up in the logistics army? Haha. Zhao Feng neither admitted nor denied. It couldn't be helped. I don't want to die in battle. The logistics army doesn't have to face the front lines or near certain death. I came to the right place. Back in the new recruit camp, he had indeed concealed his skills. Outstanding performers were assigned to the main combat battalions to become sharp warriors. So, during training, if he was meant to use 10 parts of his strength, he would only use 5. In the end, he successfully managed to stay in the logistics army. Mr. Zhao, Wei Quan began. As someone who has suffered under the boot of the powerful, I want to tell you something. Chapter 5. Qin Law targets the common people. If you truly have the ability and the chance to climb, then you must climb. Climb upwards, no matter the cost. This world devours people. If you lack power and influence, even if you return home, you will still suffer humiliation. Your fields could be cunningly seized, and your family could even be forced into servitude. Cast aside your naivety and your wishful thinking. You're still young, so you haven't seen it yet. But when you do, if you have no power or influence, you'll be walking a dead-end road. Under the veil of night, Wei Quan stared at Zhao Feng, his voice grave. Feeling Wei Quan's stern gaze, the smile on Zhao Feng's face gradually faded. He could tell that Wei Quan was serious. Mr. Wei, Zhao Feng couldn't help but ask, has something happened in your family? Me? Heh. A look of hatred filled Wei Quan's eyes. I watched with my own eyes as my sister was abducted by a powerful noble in the county town. She was violated, and now, she's gone mad. Mr. Wei, didn't you report it to the officials? A shocked Zhao Feng asked. The crime of rape should be punished by castration. Report it to the officials? A mocking glint appeared in Wei Quan's eyes. Everyone knows that the Qin law is strict, but they don't realize that its enforcement is in the hands of the powerful. If you are just a commoner, then yes, the law is strict. But if you are from a powerful family, what does the strict Qin law even mean? Perhaps to the great king, the Qin law governs the entire land. But my home is in the Shu region, too far from the capital. The great king's authority doesn't reach us. My father and I went to report it. In the end, we were targeted by that nobleman's son. He had my father beaten to death, and I was left seriously injured. And he still roams free, beyond the reach of justice. Officials? The Qin law. Perhaps in Xianyang, and in the surrounding areas, the Qin law is a divine decree that no one dares defy. But the more remote the place, the more useless that law becomes. Punishments don't apply to senior officials. The Qin law is for the common people. Young Zhao, don't be so naive. Hearing this, Zhao Feng fell silent. He had been reborn in this world for over 15 years. But his understanding of it was limited to his hometown and this military camp. In his village, the neighbors all looked out for each other. In his life thus far, Zhao Feng had never encountered the things Wei Quan spoke of. He had always thought of the Qin law as famously strict. Later generations would even call it the tyranny of Qin. But now, Wei Quan's words had stunned him. The Qin law is for the common people. Punishments don't apply to senior officials. Zhao Feng murmured the words, feeling as if he were finally encountering the true, unvarnished world of this era. All right, Wei Quan said, patting Zhao Feng's shoulder. Young Zhao, don't dwell on it. I just wanted to tell you not to see this world as too simple or too kind. I nearly met King Yin today. I'm going to get some sleep. You should too. We set out for Yang City tomorrow. With a faint smile, Wei Quan turned and walked toward his own tent. Zhao Feng remained seated before the small campfire, Wei Quan's words echoing in his mind. Perhaps I have been too naive. Still, in 2 years, the attributes I've collected should be enough to protect Mother and my sister. If anyone dares to bully them, I'll annihilate their entire clan. For now, staying in the logistics army is fine. Ultimately, the state of Qin is incredibly powerful right now. It will unify the world, and the king of Qin will become Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor in history. But who could know that such a mighty dynasty would fall in its second generation? I'm just an ordinary person. I might have the golden finger of a reincarnator, but my current power is nowhere near enough to influence the world. I have to get stronger to secure a future. Gaining rank and title, rising to prominence. It's nice to think about, but I should take it one step at a time. Staying alive is the most important thing. Wei Quan's words had certainly given him a lot to think about. Zhao Feng gave the command in his mind. Open the First Order treasure chest. Opening First Order treasure chest. Obtained First Order spirit fruit. Heavenly fragrant cardamom. The panel prompted. Heavenly fragrant cardamom. Taking one pill can protect the heart's meridians and induce a deep sleep, but it's useless without the other 2 pills that follow. What a waste of a treasure box. Seeing the heavenly fragrant cardamom, Zhao Feng felt a pang of disappointment. Open attribute panel. Host, Zhao Feng age, 15 years old strength, 336. The greater the strength, the more power can be unleashed. Speed, 216. The higher the value, the faster the speed. Constitution, 218. A stronger constitution means faster recovery and inexhaustible stamina. Spirit, 211. A stronger spirit brings a clear mind and thoughts. At a certain level, one can sense nature's spiritual energy. Lifespan, 86 years and 88 days portable space. 2 cubic meters. These were the attributes Zhao Feng had gained after carrying hundreds of bodies by himself over the last 3 days on the battlefield. Tomorrow we head to Yang City. According to history, that was a major stronghold where Han resisted Qin. The casualties there will surely exceed tens of thousands, several times more than in this border battle. Attributes. Oh, attributes. I'm coming for you tomorrow. Thinking of the trip to Yang City, Zhao Feng couldn't help but feel a surge of anticipation. The next day. Bright and early, the Fire Scout army was preparing meals. The men of the logistics camp ate their fill and prepared to move out. Before Wei Quan, more than 90 logistics soldiers stood in formation. None of them wore battle armor, but each had a sword at his waist. In this era, battle armor was expensive, so not every soldier was issued a set, not even in the powerful state of Qin. Logistics soldiers were equipped with swords, but no armor. Only the sharp warriors who held titles were granted battle armor. Where is Zhao Feng? At that moment, the Junho of Zhao Feng's unit strode over, holding a set of bamboo slips. Here, here. Wei Quan immediately turned and shouted. The eyes of every soldier in the company turned to watch. Seeing the Junho, they naturally assumed Zhao Feng was about to be rewarded. The Junho approached quickly, followed by 2 soldiers carrying boxes. By order of the Shengjiangjin, the Junho announced, holding the reward slips high for all to see. Zhao Feng, a soldier of the Logistics 1st Army Marquis Camp, has achieved great merit by beheading the Han Wanjiang, Baoqiao. In accordance with the military merit system of Qin, he is promoted 3 ranks to centurion and granted the 1st rank of nobility. Furthermore, he is granted a new suit of battle armor and a new sword. Zhao Feng, Wei Quan prompted urgently, "Give your thanks." Zhao Feng stepped forward, his expression calm as he bowed deeply. Zhao Feng gives his thanks. The Junho walked up to Zhao Feng. He took a sword and a suit of battle armor from the soldiers behind him and presented them to Zhao Feng along with the bamboo slips. Zhao Feng accepted them with both hands. The Junho smiled. "Zhao Feng, you did very well. You've brought great honor to our logistics camp before the Shangjiangjin, a Han Wanjiang, and the son of the Han senior general, no less, killed by one of our logistics soldiers. This is a major event." "This subordinate was merely fortunate," Zhao Feng replied. "Fortunate or not, the deed is done." The Junho patted his shoulder. "My name is Luo Chao. If you need anything in the future, you can come find me." He then turned to address the other logistics soldiers. Zhao Feng earned his promotion and title by slaying an enemy general. This is the military merit system of our great Qin. It doesn't matter who you are. As long as you kill the enemy and earn merit, you will be rewarded. I hope all of you can serve the nation and achieve great things, just like Zhao Feng. The Junho boomed, his voice full of encouragement. Chapter 6. An even crueler Yang City battlefield. What effect could Luo Chao's words possibly have? They might carry a hint of encouragement, but they were not of much use. The news that Zhao Feng had killed General Han Wan had already spread through the logistics army, but everyone simply thought it was Zhao Feng's good luck, a chance occurrence that could not be sought after. If the logistics army wanted to achieve military merit, they too would have to rely on luck. "All right," Luo Chao announced. "The main camp has issued an order. Our logistics army of 10,000 soldiers will escort the supply train to Yang City. Move out immediately." "Understood." The soldiers responded in unison. After Luo Chao left, Wei Quan smiled as he walked up to Zhao Feng. "Congratulations, you now have a noble title, and your official rank has been promoted to Tuanjiang." "It was really just a fluke," Zhao Feng replied helplessly. "Enough of that," Wei Quan said, his expression turning serious. "Now that you hold an official rank, you naturally have responsibilities. A Wuzhong commands 5 men, a Shizhong commands 10 men, and a Tuanjiang commands 50 men. From this day forward, you will lead 50 soldiers and report directly to me." "Understood." Zhao Feng bowed respectfully. Just then, a series of notifications appeared before his eyes. Bestowed an official position linked to the national destiny. Conferred as Wuzhong, rewarded with 1 first-order treasure chest. Conferred as Shizhong, rewarded with 1 first-order treasure chest. Conferred as Tuanjiang, rewarded with 1 first-order treasure chest. Conferred as level 1 nobility, gentleman, rewarded with 1 first-order treasure chest. Getting treasure chests as a reward for an official position? That's an unexpected surprise. Zhao Feng was startled for a moment, then a smile crept onto his face. Thereafter, Zhao Feng immediately opened the treasure chests. Open all first-order treasure chests. Received 5,000 yen. Received 10 low-tier first-order fasting pills. Received a high-grade first-order martial technique, explosive fist. Received 5 bottles of mid-tier first-order hemostasis powder, the panel displayed. As the 4 chests were opened, Zhao Feng's gaze locked onto the reward from the third one. Martial techniques really do exist. Explosive fist. Can I cultivate it? Zhao Feng's eyes shone with indescribable anticipation. Following that, he immediately retrieved the martial technique. "Do you wish to learn explosive fist?" the panel prompted. "Learn," Zhao Feng replied instantly. The next moment, a stream of information flooded into his mind. Explosive fist. Converge the strength of the entire body into a single point, erupting with several times one's own power in an instant. Impressive. After learning it, Zhao Feng was quite excited. Just like the enhancement of his attributes, this martial technique greatly augmented his strength, increasing the trump cards he had to stay alive. Xianyang City. Carriages used the official roads while pedestrians used the side roads, each keeping to their own path. As the city at the feet of the king of Qin, Xianyang lived up to its reputation. It was known for having the strictest laws in the state of Qin and was also touted as the most bustling city in the world. In the center of the vast Xianyang, a magnificent palace stood, the Qin Royal Palace, which had served as the seat of power for over 100 years. In the great hall of the king of Qin, a man dressed in a ceremonial robe and wearing a royal crown sat upon the throne. His power was unmatched as he overlooked the great hall and the entire Qin Royal Palace. On both sides of the hall, civil and military officials stood in their respective ranks. At the fore of the civil officials stood Chancellor Wang Wan, and at the fore of the military officials stood Senior General Meng Wu. Following Wang Wan, a youth dressed in the garb of the eldest imperial son stood holding a court tablet. It was none other than Fusu, the eldest imperial son of Great Qin. Those with memorials to present, step forward. Those without, court is dismissed. A eunuch beside King Zheng of Qin stepped forward and announced loudly to all the officials in attendance, "Your Majesty, I have a report to present." A military official stepped out from the ranks. A victory report has been sent from the Lantian camp. Although he was a military official, he bore no aura of slaughter. "Minister Ming, speak quickly," Ing Zheng urged, his eyebrows lifting as he focused on the man in the hall. The destruction of Han was a long-planned endeavor. Ing Zheng was confident there were no oversights, but as this was the first message from Han territory, he was naturally moved. The war to destroy Han was pivotal for Qin's dominion over the world and its path eastward. With Han's fall, Hanga Pass would no longer be an obstacle, completely opening Qin's route to the east. In this battle, Meng Yi reported excitedly. Senior General Wang Jin personally garrisoned the border, while General Li Teng led 100,000 troops to break through Han's defenses, slaying nearly 10,000 Han soldiers. They are now directly besieging Han's fortified Yang city. Within a few months, Han will cease to exist. Excellent. Ing Zheng let out a hearty laugh. Congratulations, Your Majesty, the entire court of civil and military officials exclaimed in unison. Chancellor, Minister Yu, Minister Meng, the destruction of Han is vital for Qin's path eastward. I will not tolerate any mishaps, Ing Zheng declared with a solemn tone. Keep a close watch on the battle situation in Han and report any developments to me without delay. Your servant obeys the decree. The three immediately responded. Your Majesty, Meng Yi interjected with a smile, there is also an amusing incident within the victory report submitted by the senior general. Let's hear it, Ing Zheng said with a slight glance. Bao Yuan's son, Bao Qiu, led 20,000 troops to guard the border. After being shattered by our Qin forces, General Li Teng searched for him for several days to no avail. As it turns out, Bao Qiu did not flee but instead feigned death among a pile of corpses. He was later discovered by our logistics army, and with nowhere left to hide, he was ultimately killed by a common soldier from our logistics army, Meng Yi reported with a hint of mockery. Upon hearing this, a bemused expression flashed across Ing Zheng's face. In Han, the saying, "A tiger father has a tiger son," was often used for Bao Yuan and his son, as both were renowned for their skill in combat. For Bao Qiu to now die at the hands of a logistics soldier from our army, he likely cannot rest in peace. What Your Majesty says is most true, Meng Yi immediately agreed. Has this logistics soldier been rewarded? Ing Zheng asked, his tone inquisitive. The system of military rewards and punishments of our Qin must not differentiate based on a soldier's unit. Please be at ease, Your Majesty, Meng Yi assured him at once. The logistics soldier has already received the reward he deserves. Good. Closely monitor the fighting in Han territory, Ing Zheng commanded loudly. As for the states of Zhao and Wei, instruct Wang Jian to be on high alert. Should they dare to make a move, let Wang Jian act with full authority on the front lines. Yang City. Inside and outside the city, the air was saturated with the stench of gunpowder. After nearly 10 days of relentless bombardment from the Qin army, the entirety of Yang City was enveloped in the flames of war. Countless were dead or injured within the city, while the bodies of many Qin sharp soldiers lay scattered outside. But under the overwhelming military might and the fearless charges of the Qin sharp soldiers, Yang City ultimately could not withstand the assault and fell to Qin General Li Teng. With the fall of Yang City, the Han forces inside scattered and fled in all directions. Next, it was the logistics army's turn to enter and clean up the battlefield. Arriving on the battlefield and seeing it was even bloodier than the border, Zhao Feng felt a tremor in his heart, even though he was accustomed to such sights. This battle was much more gruesome than the one at the border. There must be over 10,000 bodies outside the city, and I fear there are just as many inside. Tens of thousands have perished in a single battle. This is a battlefield where a human life is worth less than a dog's. Chapter 7. Continuously picking up attributes, nonsense. This is the most fortified city in Han, known as a military stronghold. Throughout the world, probably only our mighty Qin could have breached it in just 10 days, Wei Quan said irritably. We breached it, but so many people died. It's all fate, Zhao Feng sighed, glancing over the scene. Don't be so sentimental. Their lives mean nothing. As long as we can destroy Han, Any sacrifice is worth it for Qin, Wei Quan said with a laugh, his perspective chillingly clear. It's a good thing I was assigned to the logistics army, Zhao Feng thought with even greater relief. Otherwise, I might be one of these corpses right now. Looking at the dead Qin sharp soldiers outside the city walls, he could see most had been felled by hails of arrows, while others were crushed into a bloody pulp by the city's stone-throwing machines. The brutality of this battle was countless times worse than anything on the border. Even though I've gotten stronger by picking up attributes, I would still undoubtedly die facing an endless volley of arrows, Zhao Feng reflected. Seeing this confirmed his resolve. I have to lie low. I have to survive. The logistics army is a good place to be. I'll just put down roots here for my 2 years of service. At that moment, a general in black armor, escorted by several hundred cavalry, arrived outside Yang City. All soldiers of the logistics army, listen up, the general bellowed. Yang City has been pacified. Our Lantian first main camp sharp warriors are pursuing the routed enemy. The task of clearing Yang City is now yours. If there are any wounded on the battlefield, transport them immediately to the wounded soldier camp for treatment. You have 5 days to clear Yang City. Hearing the voice, Zhao Feng looked over with some surprise. From a distance, he saw the black-armored war general. Their frame seemed slender, their face was quite fair, and their voice sounded a little off. That's a woman in men's clothing, plain as day. Is everyone blind? After a single glance, Zhao Feng immediately realized this Qin general was a woman. Women can become generals in Qin? Zhao Feng asked, turning to look at Wei Quan in confusion. What do you mean, a woman becoming a general? Wei Quan looked baffled. Zhao Feng gave him an odd look. Mr. Wei, can you really not tell, or are you pretending not to? That general is obviously a woman, Zhao Feng said, his gaze flicking toward the female general who was issuing orders. Wei Quan stared, his expression dumbfounded. She's a woman? No way. Forget it. Zhao Feng couldn't be bothered to explain further. This wasn't just blindness, it was utter cluelessness. Mr. Zhao, watch what you say, Wei Quan whispered, leaning closer. Look at the cavalry around the general. Their battle armor is that of trusted aides, and every one of them holds a noble rank of the 3rd level or higher. That proves the general's status is anything but low. She must be a deputy general under the main general, or perhaps someone from the Shangjiangjin's personal retinue. Right. Zhao Feng nodded, no longer focusing on the female general. It has nothing to do with me anyway. After giving her orders, the female general quickly led her troops and galloped into the city. Mr. Wei, I'm taking some men to move the bodies. He then turned to his unit. Brothers, 30 of you, get the carts. The rest of you, come with me. Compared to a few days ago, Zhao Feng was now a platoon leader with 50 men under his command. He no longer needed to waste time hauling carts himself and could focus entirely on picking up attributes. Yes, sir, the 50 soldiers replied in unison. Zhao Feng immediately rushed onto the battlefield and started carrying corpses, successfully picked up 1 point of lifespan. Lifting the very first body yielded a sweet reward. Among all the attributes, lifespan was the rarest, strength and speed were the most common. A good start. Let's keep going. Zhao Feng smiled to himself as he moved the body onto the ox cart. The corpses outside the city were all Qin sharp soldiers, so they couldn't be handled carelessly like the enemy's dead. Touching an ordinary soldier. Successfully picked up 1 point of speed. Successfully picked up 1 point of strength. Zhao Feng moved the corpses tirelessly, collecting attributes along the way. Touching a Qin centurion. Successfully picked up 5 points of strength. He glanced at the body before him, riddled with arrows. Sigh, all human lives. Rest in peace, Zhao Feng murmured, moving him onto the ox cart before continuing his work. Touching a Qin military marquee. Successfully picked up 10 points of strength, 10 points of speed. Another bountiful collection. Rank means nothing against a hail of arrows. It all comes down to fate, he thought. A Junho commanding 1,000 soldiers ends up as nothing. That's why being alive is what truly matters. Power is tempting, but life is more valuable. Emperor Qin Shi Huang's unification of the realm is a monumental achievement. But who remembers the countless soldiers who died to make it happen? No wonder they say that a single general's success is built on a pile of 10,000 bones. Moving the body of another high-ranking officer, Zhao Feng felt even more wistful. His knowledge of history from a future era gave him a perspective on this bloody battlefield that surpassed anyone else in this age. He would never sacrifice himself for a king's ambition or sell his life cheaply. He only wanted to live for himself. If he hadn't been conscripted, he would never have set foot on a battlefield. I have to get stronger, he vowed internally. Only by becoming so strong that no one can kill me will I be safe. Once all my attributes are over 1,000, I should become practically unkillable. I can't even imagine how powerful I'll be at that level. He quickened his pace, gathering attributes. It wasn't that he couldn't just touch a body to collect them. The system required him to be in contact with the source for at least 5 breaths. The 3,000 soldiers of the logistics army worked quickly to clear the battlefield. In less than half a day, the area outside the city was mostly cleared. The bodies of nearly 10,000 elite soldiers of the Qin army had all been transported away. The other 7,000 logistics soldiers were busy digging pits and building tombs, a task that would take more time. Everything proceeded in an orderly fashion. Being a platoon leader really is great. It saves me the time of hauling a cart back and forth. In just half a day, I've collected over 500 attribute points. Open attribute panel, Zhao Feng commanded. Host, Zhao Feng age, 15 strength. For 58, the higher the strength, the greater the force that can be unleashed. Speed, 312. The higher the number, the faster the speed. Constitution, 265. The stronger the constitution, the faster injuries heal and the more endless the stamina. Spirit, 268. The stronger the spirit, the clearer the mind. At a certain level, one can sense nature's spiritual energy. Lifespan, 86 years and 108 days portable space. 2 cubic meters, I've mostly picked up strength. It's almost 500 pounds now. Can't they be a little more balanced? Looking at his stats, Zhao Feng felt like he was complaining about a gift horse. Chapter 8. All attributes surpass 300. Acquiring the method to mobilize divine sense. But it won't be long now. After another round of collecting from the city, all my attributes should reach over 300. By then, I should get another treasure box reward, Zhao Feng thought with delight. With the clearing of the area outside Yang City complete, hardly any Qin soldiers remained there. Any who were still alive had already been rescued by their comrades. This was an ironclad rule of the Qin army, a bond of brotherhood. As long as a soldier was still breathing, even in retreat, his comrades would carry him back. Logistics 1st Army Marquee Camp. Assemble. Luo Chao barked. The logistics soldiers belonging to his Army Marquee Camp began to gather, Zhao Feng naturally among them. The area outside the city has been cleared, Luo Chao announced to the 1,000 logistics soldiers before him. Next, we clear the city itself. Inside the walls is not the same as outside. Out there, the bodies were our own Qin brothers, but within, most are enemy soldiers. You must be cautious and careful during this operation. Keep your weapons drawn at all times. Don't die needlessly. Our logistics 1st Army Marquee Camp will be the vanguard, clearing the city towers and the outer city. In short, remain vigilant. Afterward, Luo Chao gave a wave of his hand. Led by their centurions, the soldiers moved in an orderly fashion toward the city. However, after hearing Luo Chao's warning, many soldiers became more vigilant. An enemy feigning death to launch a surprise attack was an extremely dangerous possibility. It was just like the time Bao Qiu had pretended to be dead before suddenly rising up to kill. You all need to be careful, especially you, Zhao Feng, Wei Quan said, turning to address everyone, but giving Zhao Feng a pointed look. Those enemy soldiers have already stared death in the face. They're desperate. If you find a single one alive, call for backup to surround and kill him immediately. After all, when Zhao Feng was carrying corpses, he became completely engrossed in his task. Don't worry, Centurion, Zhao Feng nodded, his expression equally serious. But I'm not really afraid. My attributes are so high now that, forget fighting 100 men, even a dozen enemies wouldn't be enough for me to kill. A casual swing of his sword carried the force of 500 jin, and his speed was also extremely fast. Anyone who wanted to kill him would need either a volley of arrows or to trap him in a deep encirclement. Of course, Zhao Feng understood the possibility of enemy counterattacks. The Qin army was world-renowned for its fierce and courageous warriors. Furthermore, the military merit system turned every soldier into a weapon of slaughter. If the enemy surrendered in an organized fashion and in large numbers, the Qin army might accept. But once a city's defenses were broken, the notion of surrender was meaningless. The elite soldiers of the Qin army would frantically hunt down their enemies, killing even those who surrendered right before their eyes, as every soldier was desperate to earn military merit. Knowing that surrender would not spare their lives, the enemy soldiers naturally fought with the desperation of the doomed. Killing one meant breaking even. Killing two was a profit. This was the cruelty of this era. Upon entering the city, the scene was even more brutal than it had been outside. Corpses and blood were everywhere, staining the city towers red. Severed limbs were scattered all over. The sight would make any ordinary person vomit. Zhao Feng himself had thrown up when he first arrived on a battlefield, but after so many days of dealing with corpses, he had grown accustomed to it. Brothers, Let's change the rules a bit, Zhao Feng said, turning to the 50 men under his command. 10 of you will confirm the deaths, 20 will transport the bodies, and the remaining 20 will follow me to move the corpses. Yes, sir. The soldiers responded in unison. They then followed Zhao Feng up toward the city towers to begin clearing the stairways. Looking at the bodies strewn about haphazardly, Zhao Feng glanced over them and then began the work. Touching a common soldier, collect 1 point of strength. Collect 1 point of speed. Collect 1 point of spirit. As Zhao Feng got back to work, he once again began frantically collecting attributes. For the time being, no Han soldiers feigning death were discovered in the city tower, which had been the first objective captured by the Qin army during the siege. Time continued to pass. Zhao Feng lifted 2 enemy corpses and threw them onto an ox cart. All attributes have broken through 300. Reward: 1 first-order treasure chest. Number of handled corpses exceeds 1,000. Reward: spiritual consciousness inducement technique. A prompt appeared on his panel. So satisfying. My power has taken another step forward. This corpse-carrying job is truly perfect for me. With all his attributes now surpassing 300, Zhao Feng could feel his body growing stronger, both inside and out. Open the first-order treasure chest, Zhao Feng immediately commanded in his mind. Now I get it. As long as all my attributes reach a certain threshold, I'll be rewarded with a treasure box. Open the first-order treasure chest. You have obtained 1 first-order, high-grade, profound iron bow, the panel indicated. Not bad. It didn't disappoint. Zhao Feng was very satisfied. A first-order, high-grade bow was definitely a formidable weapon. Spiritual consciousness inducement technique. Next, Zhao Feng looked at the reward for handling 1,000 corpses. Extract. Learn. Zhao Feng, filled with curiosity, immediately learned it. A flash of golden light enveloped him. In an instant, Zhao Feng understood. So that's how it works. Divine sense is spiritual power. This inducement technique allows one to release their spiritual power to perceive the outside world. Isn't this just like cultivating divine sense from the novels in my past life? My God, I actually have this ability now. Zhao Feng thought excitedly. He then attempted to use this divine sense technique. Indeed, he sensed that his perception was no longer limited to his body. Even with his eyes closed, he could perceive his surroundings with perfect clarity. After trying it out, he concluded, the range of my divine sense is 30 feet, which must be proportional to my spiritual power. This is an ace up my sleeve. With my divine sense spread out, I'm aware of everything within a 30-foot radius, with no blind spots. It's impossible for anyone to sneak up on me now, and I can tell instantly who's feigning death. However, even though this spiritual power can be projected outward, it seems it hasn't yet transformed into true divine sense, so I still can't perceive spiritual energy. Or maybe, this world doesn't have spiritual energy at all? Zhao Feng pondered. He opened his attribute panel. Age, 15 years old. Strength, 512. The higher the value, the greater the force that can be unleashed. Speed, 365. The higher the number, the faster the speed. Constitution, 321. The stronger the constitution, the faster injuries heal, and the more inexhaustible the stamina. Spirit, 321. The stronger the spirit, the clearer the mind and thoughts. Spiritual power can be projected outward, and once it grows to a certain level, it can perceive nature's spiritual energy. Lifespan, 86 years and 118 days. Portable space, 3 cubic meters. Martial technique. Explosive fist, mastered at the initial level, a single punch can unleash twice the user's base strength. I'll take it one step at a time. The only thing that matters is to keep collecting attributes and growing stronger. With that thought, Zhao Feng stopped speculating about spiritual energy. He returned to the task at hand, continuing to move the corpses of Han soldiers and collect attributes. Time slipped away in this manner. Meanwhile, on the other side of Yang City, the elite troops of the Lantian First Main Camp were hunting down the remnants of the Han army. Fleeing from the city. Chapter 9. Han's hidden hand. With the fall of Yang City, the critical hub of Han had been breached, and with it, the very gates to the Han capital. Han was doomed to fall. Report to General Li, Wang Yin said, hurrying into the tent and bowing to Li Teng. The search within the city is complete. We found no trace of Bao Yuan. He has already fled Yang City. I request permission to lead troops in pursuit and capture him. Upon hearing the report, Li Teng, seated in the place of honor, glanced at the other generals in the tent. Although Yang City has been taken, the enemy forces within its bounds have not been completely eradicated. I give you half a month to wipe out the scattered Han forces around Yang City. After that, we march on the Han capital. Yes, sir, the commanders responded in unison before withdrawing from the tent. After their departure, Li Ting looked at the youthful officer before him with an expression of helpless exasperation. Yinner, he began, I have already arranged for the pursuit of Bao Yuan, so you don't need to join the fray. The battlefield is no place for games, it's fraught with danger. I think you should return to the senior general's side. Li Ting felt utterly helpless when dealing with Wang Yin. As the beloved daughter of Wang Jian, born to him in his middle age, Wang Yin had always been coddled. Raised in the martial Wang family, she had developed a spirited eagerness for the battlefield. This time, in the campaign against Han, she had shamelessly tagged along. Generally, Wang Yin declared, bowing deeply. The senior general has already given me permission to contribute to this campaign, and I am a Junho commander, personally appointed by the great king himself. As long as Han is not subdued, I will not leave the battlefield. Please assign me military duties, generally. I will carry them out. Seeing her persistence, Li Ting felt extremely powerless. As the daughter of his direct superior, the Shengjiangjin, he could not be too harsh with her. It was an impossible situation. Li Ting's expression turned stern. Wang Yin, heed my command. There are still Han soldiers hiding within Yang City. I command you to lead your 500 trusted aides and grant you authority over 10,000 logistics troops to assist. You must completely clear the Han forces from inside Yang City. Furthermore, you are to assist the logistics army in escorting supplies and securing the supply lines. Disappointment showed in Wang Yan's eyes, but she could only nod. This commander obeys. She then withdrew. Inside Yang City, the cleanup continued. Under the protection of her trusted aides, Wang Yin moved from the city's interior toward the outer walls. Where is the Wanjiang of the logistics army? Wang Yin called out. Although it was a woman's voice, she deliberately tried to project a masculine boldness, but the result was somewhat awkward. This commander is Chun Lei. The Wanjiang of the logistics army promptly stepped forward. How goes the cleanup within the city? Wang Yin asked directly. Reporting to the general, Chun Lei replied immediately. The outer city is mostly clear, but the inner city will require 3 more days. Although the young general before him looked youthful and wore only the battle armor of a Junho commander, the trusted aides at her side were from the senior general's personal guard. This clearly marked her as a favored general from the main camp's direct line of command. Chun Lei dared not offend her. Speed up the cleanup, Wang Yin ordered gravely. Finish it within 2 days. After clearing the streets, disperse the troops to search the residential houses. You must eliminate all remaining enemy soldiers in the city. Yes, sir. Chun Lei acknowledged and immediately went to relay the order. Not far from where Wang Yin stood, Zhao Feng nearly cursed when he heard her order. Damn it, is this girl crazy? She just turned a 3-day job into a 2-day one. How many attributes am I going to miss out on now? That bitch. Zhao Feng cursed inwardly. Thoroughly annoyed. One should not underestimate a single day of cleanup. It could have allowed Zhao Feng to gather attributes from at least several hundred more people. Standing just a short distance away, Zhao Feng was already tempted to give that little wench a good beating. This won't do. I need a new approach. Moving corpses is easy, but digging pits and burying them is definitely not. I'll muddle through these next 2 days, then go to the burial pits to haul bodies. That way, I can pick up even more attributes. After a moment of thought, Zhao Feng came up with a solution. No one could stop him from collecting attributes and growing stronger. With this in mind, Zhao Feng suppressed his frustration and hurried to get back to the cleanup. Any delay now would mean losing out on a lot of attributes. Zhao Feng was counting on Yang City to push all his attributes toward 400. Secure the 400 mark, then push for 500. Xinjing, the Han Royal Palace. What is the battle situation? King Hanan asked, his expression grave as he looked at the man before him. Yang City has fallen, Chancellor Zhangping of Han said grimly. The king's face fell, and he collapsed back into his seat. With Yang City fallen, my Xinjing has no more defensible terrain. The capital's forces are less than 50,000. We cannot contend with Qin. Has Qin's national power truly reached such a stage? They've been campaigning against our Han for less than a month, and a third of our territory is already lost. The king of Han spoke with the utmost gravity, his voice filled with fear. Your Majesty, Zhangping said in a low voice. Qin moved with extreme speed this time, giving our Han no chance to react. Our envoys have already departed for the states of Zhao and Wei, but even if they agree to send aid, it will be too late. Perhaps, we can only resort to the plan discussed with the senior general. Must the foundation of my Han, built over nearly 200 years, truly be lost? King Hanan's face was filled with unwilling resentment. Your Majesty, preserving the royal bloodline and the foundation of Han is paramount. In the future, there may be a chance to restore our kingdom. Besides, though Yang City has fallen, the senior general once said he had one final, desperate strategy. If it succeeds, it could heavily damage the Qin army. With aid from Zhao and Wei, we might ultimately save our kingdom from annihilation. However, for the future restoration of Han, we must first send the royal bloodline to safety, Zhang Ping urged, bowing respectfully. Understood, King Han nodded. He looked up at the heavens, his eyes full of prayer. I can only hope the heavens will protect Han. At this moment, he was out of options. All he could do was his best, and leave the rest to fate. Inside Yang City. A day passed quickly. Night fell, and the city grew quiet. The Qin army maintained strict discipline and did not bother the common people, but nearly every citizen hid in their homes, daring not to venture out. With Yang City only recently secured, several thousand sharp warriors from the main camp were still patrolling the city. The logistics army, meanwhile, had left the city to set up camp outside, where they were digging pits for cooking fires. Inside Yang City, in various alleys, something strange happened. It was unclear if there was a signal, but many seemingly solid patches of ground suddenly began to tremble. Then, wooden planks were pushed aside, revealing passages leading underground. It wasn't just the alleys. In many secluded houses throughout the city, doors were suddenly thrown open. From these houses and from the tunnels beneath the ground, soldiers in battle armor swarmed out. Their armor was not that of Qin, but of Han. The senior general commands: kill every Qin soldier in the city without mercy. Retake Yang City. In various parts of the city, thousands of Han soldiers emerged from the shadows, sweeping back to reclaim the streets. The patrolling Qin soldiers also heard the commotion. What's that noise? Damn it, an enemy attack. There are still Han soldiers in the city. Quickly, report to the general. Form up to face the enemy. Quick, to arms. Chapter 10, Chaotic Battle. The army formation has been broken. When the Qin soldiers patrolling the city saw the Han troops emerging from all directions, they panicked. However, with their strong military discipline, they immediately formed ranks to meet the enemy. For a time, Yang City, which had ceased hostilities for 2 days, was once again plunged into chaos. More than 5,000 Qin sharp soldiers were inspecting the city, but faced with the sudden assault of Han troops and a hail of arrows from all sides, they suffered significant casualties. It seemed that the emerging Han forces far outnumbered the patrolling Qin soldiers. At the prefecture governor's office in the city, what's going on? Wang Yan's complexion changed as she too heard the sudden cries of battle. Just then, a series of hurried footsteps came from outside the hall. A report for the Junho, her deputy general cried, rushing in. Large numbers of Han troops have suddenly appeared in Yang City and are attacking our patrol forces. There are many of them, and they are not disorganized remnants, but a structured Han army. They're marching on the prefecture governor's office right now. What? Wang Yan shot to her feet, her expression changing dramatically. There are Han troops hidden in the city? How did they stay hidden when my army of 100,000 took Yang City? She exclaimed. Junho, a subordinate Junho, immediately replied. Yang City is a major military fortress for Han. Perhaps they dug hiding places underground long ago. With tens of thousands of homes in the city, even though our army searched it, these Han troops must have been planning this for a while. They surely intend to retake Yang City, or even sever our army's supply line and cut off General Li Teng's retreat. Wang Yan's face was grim. Quickly mobilize all the sharp warriors in the city to engage the enemy. Send word to the logistics army camped outside the city and order them to enter and join the fight immediately. Then she picked up the sword at her side and strode out. At this moment, the sounds of battle filled Yang City as the two armies fought fiercely in the night. A murderous air hung over the entire city. The Han troops, appearing out of nowhere and possessing an absolute familiarity with the terrain, had caught the 5,000 sharp warriors inside the city completely off guard, inflicting countless casualties. And in a civilian house, Bao Yuan, whom Li Teng had been searching for, was sitting inside, surrounded by several Han generals. Just then, the door opened. Reporting, Shang Jiangjin, a blood-soaked Han general announced. All 8,000 of our brothers have charged out. The Qin army in the city was caught completely by surprise. We are gradually clearing them out now. If we choose to take the city, Yang City can be returned to Han by dawn. Months of planning have finally borne fruit. A smile touched Bao Yuan's lips. King Zheng of Qin, it won't be so easy to annihilate our Han. And you, Wang Jian, he continued, you are so arrogant. This time, I will teach you the meaning of cunning on the battlefield. After a while, he slowly rose to his feet. Issue my command. Do not get bogged down in fighting. Break out of the city and strike directly at the Qin army's supply train. That is the key to Han's survival. As long as we burn their supplies and cut their food lines, the Qin army, no matter how strong, will be rendered powerless. This will buy us enough time for Zhao and Wei to send reinforcements to aid Han, Bao Yuan said with a cold laugh. From the very beginning, Bao Yuan had never intended to recapture Yang City. His plan was to create the illusion of retaking it, using the ensuing chaos to gather his forces, break out, and launch a direct assault on the Qin supply lines. Understood, the Han generals replied in unison. After that, Bao Yuan stood up, picked up his sword, and looked towards Xinjing through the night. My king, our Han shall not perish. Await the news of my triumphant return. Outside Yang City, where the logistics army was encamped, the logistics army, having labored all day, had mostly retired to their tents to rest. Only a few sentries were patrolling. Inside a tent, Zhao Feng, who had been fast asleep, suddenly woke up. He quickly put on his shoes and walked outside. Something's not right. It seems something has happened in the city. Standing outside his tent and gazing toward Yang City, Zhao Feng sensed that something was amiss. Now that his all attributes were approaching 400, his senses were extremely sharp. Although his tent was in the middle of the logistics army camp, hundreds of zhang away from Yang City, and the sounds of fighting could not possibly travel so far, Zhao Feng distinctly heard some noises. Without a moment's hesitation, Zhao Feng returned to his tent and grabbed his battle armor and sword. Brothers, get up, Zhao Feng shouted, lighting a candle in the tent. Something's happened. It was the dead of night, the hour of deepest fatigue. Hearing Zhao Feng's voice, the soldiers in the tent groggily opened their eyes. Platoon leader, what's happened? What can happen in the middle of the night? Exactly. Haven't we completed our tasks for today? The logistics soldiers looked at Zhao Feng with great confusion. As members of the logistics army, their discipline was naturally not as strict as that of the sharp warriors. Everyone, get dressed and grab your swords, Zhao Feng said immediately. I'll go wake the others. Understood. Seeing the stern look on Zhao Feng's face, the weary soldiers in the tent scrambled to get up. Before long, all the soldiers from Wei Quan's 100-strong company were awake. Mr. Zhao, what's the matter? Wei Quan was also exhausted as he got up, looking at Zhao Feng with puzzlement. There's likely trouble in the city, Zhao Feng said seriously. Trouble in the city? Wei Quan looked towards Yang City with a blank expression, then turned back and said, the city has been taken. What trouble could there be? I can't be sure, but it's better that we're awake, Zhao Feng said. And it would be best to wake everyone else, too. Wei Quan still looked puzzled. Mr. Zhao, it must be nearly the hour of Pingdan. Waking everyone now could cause trouble, Wei Quan said helplessly. Not waking them up will lead to even greater trouble, Zhao Feng insisted firmly. The moment he finished speaking, the previously quiet walls of Yang City erupted with cries of battle. Kill! Kill! The shouts echoed from the city walls, and a moment later, the massive, sealed gates swung open. All forces, hear my command, a roar echoed out. Show the people of Qin no mercy. Kill! At the command, thousands of Han soldiers surged out of the city. The vanguard of the Han forces raised their bows and crossbows, unleashing a volley of arrows into the camp. The sudden volley and unexpected killing intent instantly plunged the logistics army camp into deadly chaos. Many soldiers in the tents did not have time to react and were pierced by arrows in their sleep. Damn it, enemy attack. Quick, get up. Enemy attack. To arms. Panicked voices spread throughout the logistics camp, but by then, it was already too late. An innumerable force of Han soldiers had surged out of the city,